The forbidden birth dark clouds covered the alien sky. Thunder rolled like war drums. Deep inside the jungle caves of planet Zephora, the air was heavy. A young alien woman screamed, not in fear, but in pain. The princess was giving birth. Leora, daughter of King Varnak, once known for her royal beauty and calm grace, now lay on stone floor soaked in sweat. Her long, glowing hair stuck to her skin. Her body shivered. She clutched the hand of a quiet, silver-skinned nurse who looked just as afraid. This child wasn't just any child. It was half human, half earthling, the result of a secret love story between Leora and a human captain she met during a peace mission to Earth, a man named Elias. No one on Zephora could ever know. If they did, the punishment would be death, not just for her, for the child, for the father, maybe even for the entire human race. "Push, princess. Just one more," the nurse cried. Leora screamed, eyes glowing with pain, and then a cry, high-pitched, soft, alive. The nurse caught the newborn in her hands, wrapped it in a warm cloth, and gasped. The baby's skin had a golden glow, not like Leora's blue tone, not like any Zephyrin. His eyes were dark, like deep space, and shimmered with power. Leora reached out with trembling fingers, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Let me hold him." The nurse obeyed. Leora pulled the baby to her chest, whispering, "You're my star, my secret, my hope." But far above them, inside the royal palace of Zephora, her father was growing restless. King Varnak stood tall inside the crystal throne hall, staring at the sky through a glass ceiling. He had ruled for 300 years with fear and strength. His daughter had been missing for months. Scouts said she vanished during a visit to Earth. His anger burned hotter with every passing day. "She dishonored the bloodline," he growled. "She betrayed Zephora." A cloaked figure entered the chamber. A spy, a whisper bringer. "My king," the figure said. "We found her." The king turned. "Where?" "She's in the lower jungle, in the shadow caves. She has given birth." The king's eyes narrowed. "To whom?" "To a hybrid. Human." For a moment, silence fell across the hall. Then, with a roar that shook the walls, King Varnak shouted, "Assemble the fleet. She brought shame upon the royal name. This is an act of war." Back in the cave, the nurse wrapped the baby tighter. Leora kissed the child's forehead, unaware of the army that had just begun to move toward her. But something in her heart felt cold. "We must leave," she said suddenly. "They'll come. My father will come." The nurse nodded. "There's a tunnel. It leads to the river. We can escape from there." Leora stood, weak but determined. She strapped her child close to her body and hid her glowing features under a brown cloak. She didn't feel like a princess anymore. She felt like a mother, a hunted mother. Thunder cracked outside. The storm had begun. Far above the clouds, Zephyrin, warships lit up the sky, moving like silent ghosts. Their engines hummed with power, their weapons fully charged. People on Earth looked up in fear. Satellites blinked out one by one, and in the center of the king's command ship, Varnak gave the final order: "Tell the humans, return the father of this cursed child, or watch your world burn." The escape. The rain hit the jungle like falling knives. Thunder rolled again and again, but this time, it wasn't just a storm. It was war coming. Princess Leora, hidden beneath her brown cloak, moved quickly through the thick alien forest. Her baby was tightly held against her chest, wrapped in soft silver cloth. Every time he made a sound, she gently whispered to him, begging him to stay quiet. Behind her, the nurse stumbled but kept up. Her name was Saren, and her loyalty to Leora was the only reason she hadn't already reported the forbidden birth. They were running out of time. Far above them, sharp lights pierced the sky. Zephyrin warships were flying overhead, scanning the forest with deadly red beams. If those lights touched Leora's body, the cloak wouldn't save her. Her DNA would give her away. They weren't just looking for a traitor. They were hunting, a mother who had broken an ancient law. "Down here!" Saren shouted, pointing to a fallen log that hid a narrow tunnel. "This leads to the underground river." Leora hesitated. "Is it safe?" "It's better than staying out here. Your father's shadow guards will find this place soon." Leora didn't argue. She bent low and crawled inside the tunnel, careful not to crush the baby in her arms. The cold mud soaked into her dress. Her body ached. Her heart pounded, but she kept moving, for her child. In orbit, King Varnak stood before a wall of glowing screens. Each showed parts of Earth, cities, oceans, military bases, and in the center, a zoomed-in image of a man, Elias Drayan, former captain of Earth's peace fleet, now missing. "Find him," Varnak ordered his war general. "He is the seed of this insult. Bring him to me, alive. I want him to see what his love has cost humanity." The general bowed. "Yes, Your Highness." A transmission began broadcasting across human airwaves. Static cleared, and then a voice filled the earth. "You have one solar day. Surrender the man named Elias Drayan, or face destruction. Your skies will fall, your oceans will burn, your peace is over." Miles away on Earth, Elias stood frozen in front of a holographic screen watching the broadcast. The name echoed in his ears. His name. The image on the alien screen was of him, younger, in uniform, smiling with Leora during the peace mission. He hadn't seen her in almost a year. He didn't even know she was alive. Now, suddenly, she had a child? A child. With him? He gripped the table edge. His heartbeat thundered like the ships in the sky. Back on Zephora, Leora and Saren finally reached the river cave. The rushing water echoed like screams, but it was freedom. "There's a boat," Saren pointed. "Old, but it floats. If we follow the current, it leads to the canyon forests. We can lose them there." Leora nodded and stepped into the boat. But before Saren could follow, they heard it. Footsteps. Fast. Heavy. Coming from behind. Saren turned, and her eyes widened. "They're here. Go!" "What about you? I'll hold them off. Go!" Leora wanted to scream, but the baby whimpered. No time. No goodbyes. The boat drifted into the black water. Saren turned back to the tunnel, ready to face the king's guards. She was just a nurse. But in that moment, she was a shield. Inside the boat, Leora held her child tighter than ever. She stared into his half-human, half-alien eyes. "You don't even know what you are," she whispered. "But they're afraid of you." The child looked back with a calmness that shook her. She had no army, no home, no plan. But she had him. And something inside her told her, this child could end the war, or start a new one. The hidden father rain fell on the steel rooftops of New Geneva, Earth's underground capital. Alarms had gone silent, but tension was louder than ever. Elias Drayan stood alone in the War Council chamber, staring at the flickering image on the hollow screen. A baby, blue and gold skin, wide black eyes. A face that didn't belong in either world. And somehow, Elias knew. That was his son. He didn't need a DNA test. He didn't need proof. He remembered her eyes, Princess Leora's eyes, and they were staring back at him from that child. Behind him, Earth's defense commander, General Rourke, stepped in with heavy boots and heavier news. "They're demanding you, Elias," the general said coldly. "You, alive, or they'll start wiping out our satellites, cities next." Elias didn't speak, his jaw clenched. "You didn't think your secret mission with the alien princess would come back to bite us all?" Rourke growled. "Now look, your love story just became a war." Elias turned slowly. His voice was calm, but ice cold. "You knew about our mission. You sent me. You told me to gain her trust. I did. Then you burned the treaty." Rourke didn't answer. He looked away. Elias stepped closer. "You used me, and now a child is born, my child, and you want to hand me over like a bribe? If it means saving Earth?" "Yes." Silence. Then Elias laughed once, bitterly. They won't stop with me. That child is a threat to them, just by existing. Meanwhile, on Zephora, the jungle river carried Leora and her baby deeper into the shadows of the canyon forest. The baby slept, glowing softly, unaware of the chaos he had started. Leora guided the boat toward the bank. Every sound made her heart jump, a crack of a branch, a flutter of wings. Were they alone? As she stepped onto the wet soil, a tall figure stepped out from behind the rocks. A man, but not a Zephyrin. Human. He raised both hands slowly. Leora? She froze. Kyle? Kyle was no ordinary man. He was an Earthborn hybrid, exiled years ago after a failed mission. He had once sworn loyalty to her mother, the late queen. He was a ghost now, but here he was. I heard the child had been born, Kale said. His eyes dropped to the bundle in her arms. So, it's true. I need your help, Leora whispered. They'll hunt us both. And him. Kale looked around. Come, I have a place. Hidden. She followed, without a word. There was no time to trust, but even less time to doubt. Back on Earth, Elias sat in a dim hotel room far from the public eye. He had escaped the base under the radar. A fake ID, a stolen clearance code, and a friend in the black market helped. He had one mission now: find Leora, find his son. The world thought he was running from punishment, but he was running toward something. He opened an old digital file, the only photo he had of her. Leora, smiling under Earth's moonlight. Her hand on his chest, a secret kiss, a promise never spoken aloud. I'm coming, Elias whispered. I don't care who's hunting you, I'll find you. He looked up. The stars above Earth blinked like watching eyes. One of them, maybe, was her. In the alien canyon, Kale led Leora into a hidden cave behind a waterfall. It was warm, lit by glowing crystals. Safe, for now. He laid down thick blankets and dried food. You can rest here, he said. But not for long. Varnak's hunters are near, and there's a rumor. Leora looked up. What rumor? Kyle hesitated. They say Elias is alive, and he's looking for you. Her hands tightened around the baby, her eyes filled with tears. He doesn't even know, she said softly. About the child. About what we shared. Kyle nodded. He will. Soon. But outside, hidden among the canyon rocks, another set of eyes watched them. Silent. Cold. Zephyrin tracker. And he had already sent the signal. Earth in shock above Earth. The stars blinked unnaturally. They weren't stars anymore. They were warships. Dozens of Zephyrin cruisers hovered just outside the planet's orbit. Massive, silent, and glowing with blue war energy. Their presence was more than a threat. It was a message. We are watching, and we will strike. Inside the United Earth Council bunker deep under the Pacific, chaos ruled. Dozens of world leaders shouted over each other, trying to make sense of the alien ultimatum. Give them Elias Drayan, a man from the European bloc demanded. They won't stop with him, shouted a woman from the African Union. They've declared war over a baby? Someone whispered in disbelief. On the central screen, the alien king's message looped again and again. Return the traitor, surrender the father, or humanity will learn the meaning of royal wrath. No one dared say it out loud, but they all knew. This child wasn't just a scandal. He was now a weapon, and Earth had no defense strong enough to match the Zephyrin. Fleet Elias Drayan stood on the rooftop of a quiet tower in New Geneva, hidden from the world. His hood was up, his face unreadable. Below, people panicked. Screens everywhere flashed emergency alerts. Some prepared to flee underground. Others screamed into the sky. No one knew where to run, or whom to blame. And yet, Elias stood still. He had escaped military control. He had refused to be handed over like a prisoner. and now he was being called a traitor by his own kind. But he didn't care. He only cared about two people now, Leora and the child. He tapped a contact lens embedded in his eye. A blue hologram flared in front of him, a tracker blinking slowly across an alien terrain. Canyon system. Zephora. You really went back there, he whispered. I'm coming. On Zephora, in the hidden cave behind the waterfall, Leora sat beside the sleeping child. Her arms were wrapped around him, her head resting against the cold stone wall. Her eyes didn't blink. Kale returned with wild fruit and rainwater in a carved horn. Eat something, you haven't touched a thing in hours. She didn't move. Leora, he said gently, you need your strength. I don't care about me anymore, she said. If they find him, they'll kill him. Or worse, turn him into a symbol of shame, a half-breed freak. Kale sat down across from her, his face serious. Or he could be something greater. She looked up. He's not just a mix of bloodlines. He's the only one with both, Kale said. He could unite what no war ever could. Leora's voice cracked. But not if we keep running. Before Kale could answer, a low buzzing filled the air. He jumped to his feet. No, he muttered. They found us. Far above, in one of the Zephyrin patrol ships, a warrior named Talon activated his communicator. His face was marked with scars, a tracker bred for one thing only: capture. This is Talon, he growled. Target found. Permission to engage? Back. On the Zephyrin command ship, King Varnak's voice rumbled through the channel. No, do not kill. Take the princess alive. Bring the child to me. Talon smirked. Understood. In the cave, Kale grabbed his pulse blade and motioned for Leora to stay behind him. Take the child and move to the back tunnel. Don't stop. Leora nodded, grabbing her son and wrapping him tightly. Then the cave exploded. Rocks flew. Light tore through the air. A blaster beam hit the cave wall, scorching it black. Talon entered like a shadow, his eyes burning, his gun ready. Kale charged. The two clashed, blade against energy, dust clouding the air. Sparks flew. Leora ran. Behind her, Kale shouted, Go! Talon knocked him aside and followed. Leora sprinted into the narrow tunnels. Her child cried, sensing fear. She whispered, Shh, baby, please. As tears blurred her vision. Suddenly she slipped. She fell hard. The baby slid from her arms, rolling into the shadows. No, she screamed. Just then footsteps approached fast and a hand reached into the dark and lifted the child. Not Talon, not Kale. A human hand. Elias stood in the dark tunnel, the baby in his arms. Leora looked up at him, breathless, muddy, shaking. Her mouth opened, but no words came. He stepped forward, his face lit only by the child's soft glow. I found you, he said. The last safe zone. The child stopped crying. It was like the world had paused. Leora stared at Elias. The man she once trusted, the man she once loved, the man she thought she'd never see again. And now, here he was, holding their son like it was the most natural thing in the universe. Elias gently stepped forward, his voice low but steady. He has your eyes, he whispered. Leora's lip trembled. You shouldn't have come. I had to. She opened her mouth to speak again, but a blaster shot tore through the stone behind them. Talon was still coming. No time. Elias said, Where's the exit? Leora pointed. That tunnel curves to the cliffside. There's a safe zone in the eastern ruins. Kale told me about it. Then we run. Behind them, Kale limped into the open space, bleeding from his shoulder, but alive. He saw the three of them disappearing into the shadows, and smiled. Go, he whispered. Then he turned to face Talon, who now stood with his blade drawn. Still alive, half-blood? Talon snarled. Kyle lifted his weapon. Alive enough to make you bleed. Their blades clashed with sparks as the tunnel echoed with violence. The cliffside was steep and soaked from the rain, but Elias climbed like a soldier trained for war. Leora followed, holding the child tight. The winds howled and every rock underfoot felt like it might crumble. But there was no turning back. From above, the ruins began to appear, ancient Zephyrin structures carved into the mountain, half swallowed by moss and time. Broken towers, hidden chambers, a place long forgotten by both sides of the war. They reached the top and collapsed into a cold stone chamber. For a moment, there was only silence, broken by the soft breath of the sleeping. Child Elias looked around. This is it? The last safe zone? Leora nodded. This was once a temple for peace rituals before the royal wars. Now it's just a graveyard. But no one knows it's here. No one alive, except Kale. And now, you. Elias stared out through the cracks in the stone. Alien stars glowed in the sky, and far-off Zephyrin ships hovered like metal vultures. We don't have much time, he said. Leora looked at him, tears in her eyes. You weren't supposed to see this. I didn't even get to tell you. You don't need to, he said softly. He told me the moment I saw him. Leora watched Elias walk over to the child and kneel beside him. His fingers gently brushed the baby's tiny hand. The child gripped it instantly. He's strong, Elias said. Stronger than us both. Leora nodded. He's also the reason your people might die. Back on Earth, the panic was spreading. After the Zephyrin threat was broadcast again, mobs began forming. News screens screamed headlines. Alien-human hybrid child confirmed. Wanted, Elias Drayan, traitor or savior. Alternate strike plan being prepared. The governments didn't know what to do. Hand him over, start a war, or something else? One bold leader, Chancellor Imani from the South Bloc, stood before the United Council and slammed her fist. On the table. We don't need to hide anymore. We need to negotiate. With what? Another councilman said. A child? With a symbol, she replied. If that child lives and we don't respond with fear, we rewrite everything, our relationship with Zephora, our place in the galaxy. But what if the king doesn't want peace? Another voice asked. Then we show him the one thing he doesn't expect from humans. What? Mercy. Inside the ruins, Elias placed a small transmitter on the ground. It blinked to life, sending a hidden signal through layers of encrypted frequency, not military grade, but ancient Zephyrin tech, something he recovered long ago just in case. Leora watched closely. What are you doing? Sending a message, he said. To who? To the one Zephyrin who still believes in peace. Your mother's brother. He was a rebel once, maybe he still is. Leora's eyes widened. Uncle Thevos, he was banished. So was I, Elias said with a smile. Let's see what banished people can do together. The baby stirred. His small hand glowed faint gold. Leora leaned down and kissed his forehead. He doesn't know it yet, she whispered, but the galaxy is holding its breath, waiting to see what he becomes. Elias nodded. Let's make sure he lives long enough to choose. Between two worlds, the ruins were no longer silent. A deep hum vibrated through the old stone, not from the earth, but from the sky. Something was coming. Leora stood at the edge of a broken balcony, wind, brushing her silver hair across her face. She looked out across the valley as alien lights flickered above the trees. They found us, she whispered. Elias stepped beside her, gripping his weapon. Maybe. Or maybe they're following someone else's signal. Yours? He nodded. I sent it to Thevos 2 nights ago. Leora didn't speak. The name carried weight. Her uncle, the outcast. He had once challenged her father's rule, demanding peace with humans. For that, he was branded a traitor and vanished. Now he was her last hope. If he comes, Elias said, he's walking into a trap. If he comes, Leora said, it means hope isn't dead. Far above, beyond Zephora's clouds, a single sleek ship slipped past patrol drones. It bore no royal markings, no army colors. Just a white flame carved into its side, the symbol of the forgotten peace movement. Inside, a tall alien with tired eyes and a regal beard sat in silence. Thevos. He watched the ruins draw closer on his tracker, then whispered, "You chose the hard path, Leora, just like your mother." He tapped his comms. "Prepare to land, and pray the king hasn't already poisoned their hearts." Meanwhile, in the royal throne chamber, King Varnak stood over a massive star map showing Earth, and Zephora locked in red rings. His war generals waited for orders. "Do they still refuse to surrender the human?" the king asked. "They've gone silent," a general replied. "Earth leaders are split. Half want to protect him, half want to hand him over." "Then strike both," the king growled. "Make their skies bleed. Let their cities scream. I will not be challenged by my own blood." Back in the canyon ruins, Kale returned from his lookout post, one hand bandaged, the other gripping a blade. "They're surrounding us," he said. "Talon is close, but so is someone else." Elias looked up. "Thevos?" Kale nodded. A stealth ship landed a mile east. No military symbols, but it's him. Leora's breath caught. "Take me there." They moved through the ruins quickly, shadows under starlight. The baby was wrapped tightly in Elias's arms, asleep again, but glowing faintly, as if sensing what was coming. When they reached the clearing, the ship had already landed, and standing at its open ramp was Thevos. He looked older than Leora remembered, his face marked by exile and experience. But when his eyes met hers, they softened. "You carry a storm in your arms, niece," he said. Leora stepped forward. "I carry the future." Thevos approached, slowly placing his hand on the child's head. "I never thought I'd live to see this," he said. "A child of two worlds. The king will never accept him." "I'm not asking him to," Elias said from behind. "We're asking you to help protect him." Thevos looked at the human. "You must be Elias." "I am. You have no idea what you've started." "I do now." Thevos gave a slow nod. "Then follow me. There's one last place the king can't touch. If we make it there, the galaxy will have to listen." But before they could board the ship, a blast tore through the trees. Fire exploded in the clearing. The group ducked as Zephyr and soldiers stormed in from the shadows. Talon stood at the front, his eyes locked on Leora and the child. "You ran. Far," Talon growled. "But not far enough." Elias raised his weapon. "You'll have to go through me." Talon smiled. "Gladly." And then the child began to glow. Not softly, but brightly. Blinding light burst from the baby's small body. Golden, radiant, powerful. Everyone stopped. Even the soldiers. Talon stumbled back. "What is that?" Thevos stepped forward, his voice calm. "That is something your king feared more than death. A bridge." Elias shielded the baby with his body. Leora knelt beside him, eyes wide with fear and awe. Their son wasn't just glowing. He was floating, weightless, eyes open, arms spread wide, and, for the first time, he spoke. A single word. "Peace." The soldiers froze. The light pulsed again. Not burning, not blinding, but soothing. Even Talon couldn't move. Thevos whispered, "He's choosing." The child's choice. The jungle went silent. Not just the wind, not just the birds. Everything, even time, stood still. Hovering in the air, wrapped in golden light, the child of Elias and Leora glowed like a living star. His small hands were outstretched. His eyes, once innocent, now looked ancient, as if they remembered something even time had forgotten. Below him, humans and aliens alike stared. Blades lowered, guns trembled in hands, and then he spoke again. A single word. "No," Talon blinked, and what did he say? The child floated gently back down, the light softening into his skin. His glow faded, but its presence remained, like warmth after fire. Leora rushed forward and caught him in her arms. "Are you all right?" she whispered. He looked at her, calm, as if he knew something she didn't. Thevos stepped forward, awe in his voice. He just rejected the blood call. Kyle looked confused. What blood call? Thevos turned to him. He's of two worlds. His Zephyrin half carries royal power, that glow, that wasn't magic. That was a response to the war line, the ancient code that binds the king's family to war. It activates at crisis. Elias frowned. So he was supposed to choose violence? Yes, Thevos said, but he didn't. Above them, Zephyron, soldiers were frozen. Talon's grip on his blade tightened. He wasn't interested in prophecy or peace. He stepped forward again. This doesn't change anything. The king will still come, and when he does, no child's light will stop him. Leora stepped in front of her son, ready to fight again, but someone else spoke. From the sky. Let's test that. A ship, massive, black and royal, appeared through the clouds, landing with the weight of thunder. The sigil of the crown burned bright on its hull. The king had arrived. Metal platforms extended. Dozens of elite guards marched out, surrounding the area with cold precision. And then, King Varnak himself stepped down, tall, armored, face like stone. He walked forward alone, stopping just feet from his daughter. Leora didn't bow. Elias didn't move, and the child didn't hide. Varnak looked at the boy. So small, so soft, and yet not afraid. This is the mistake that cost a galaxy its balance, the king said. Leora stood tall. No, this is the child who might save it. Varnak's voice sharpened. He is not Zephyrin, Elias replied. He is more than Zephyrin. The king's gaze turned to him. You, the disease behind all this. You seduced my daughter, poisoned her bloodline, and now dare to speak in my presence? Elias stepped forward. Yes, I dare. Because I'm not afraid of your crown. I've seen kings die, but I've never seen a child like this born, and neither have you. Varnak raised a hand, a signal. The guard stepped forward, weapons aimed, and then the child stood, by himself. He walked forward, between his mother and father, toward the king. Alone, every heartbeat in the clearing stopped. Even Varnak froze. The child looked up at the towering alien. He lifted his hand. Not in attack, but in offering. His tiny voice spoke again. Stop. The king blinked. A flicker of confusion, pain, memory. The child continued. No more fire. No more death. No more hate. The light returned, but softer this time. It spread across the clearing like mist, touching every soldier, every rebel, every shadow. And something changed. Weapons dropped. Knees bent. Even Talon lowered his blade. Thevos whispered, He's rewriting the code. What code? Elias asked. The Royal War Code, Thevos breathed. The legacy of vengeance. It lives in Zephyrin blood, but the child carries human blood too. And somehow, he's choosing a different future. Leora's eyes filled with tears. He's not just our son, he's a bridge. Varnak, for the first time in centuries, looked human. He turned slowly and walked back toward his ship. No war call, no rage, no execution, just silence. Hours later, in the temple ruins, peace finally settled. The king had left. The guards had followed. The war had not begun. Not officially. Not yet. But something bigger had started. A chance. A possibility. Thevos approached the family one last time. I'll speak to the rebels, he said. This child, he's already a legend, but don't raise him as one. Raise him as a boy, a good one, a better one. Elias nodded. We will. Leora smiled. Thank you, uncle. Thevos looked at the boy and knelt. Your name? The child looked up at his parents. They looked at each other. Then Elias said, His name is Solon. Thevos smiled. May Solon rise, like the sun after war.